I'm going to talk a little bit about Kajetan Sadowski, who is a good friend of mine and has for a long time been a really amazing, active teacher and rights fighter, like a person who championed rights for queer and diverse training spaces. He wrote the book Fear is the Mind Killer, which was published in 2019, and has done just a wealth of work improving Western martial arts for everybody and how we think about training, how we approach training. Kaja, as he was previously known, transitioned after writing the book Fear is the Mind Killer, which was written from the point of view of his experiences as a female identifying person in training martial arts and basically high level performance environments, and his knowledge and his insight and suggestions for creating safe training spaces have just been so abundantly helpful for so many people. Kaja's journey has been one that I've been quite very interested in, because we do inhabit a very similar space as people who are known for swords, known for being sword people, identified as female when we became very active in our roles in empowering and encouraging our communities, and then have discovered actually we're not female necessarily, and have had to face the difficulty of feeling like you want to represent women and diverse minorities in martial arts, but whilst also needing very strongly to transition into a male space for yourself. So Kaja started his journey a little bit after me, and we've been friends through the whole thing. His experiences have been different to mine in a lot of ways, and his engagement with his community has been different, because for him, he built a school. He co-built a school with people in Vancouver. I'm just gonna let that pass. So Kaja actively built a community around him, Valkyrie, with the other founders of the school. And so when he went through his own journey of realizing his identity, because he'd been creating a space where it was comfortable to express identities, it became very difficult for him, because he was able to see very closely the impact his gender change had on the people around him. For me, my community was mostly virtual, because I've been fairly untethered, displaced for such a very long time, that all the people that I was representing and still do represent are virtual. You're real to me, but you're also physically, a lot of you are in very different spaces to where I am. So I don't have the immediate emotional impact of seeing how people respond to me as male. Kaja, about 2 days ago, has written a post saying that he needs to finish his role as a teacher and step back from being in an instruction capacity of Western martial arts, because the strain that has been put upon him has for a long time, it's been a lot for him, because of his resistance to bigotry and his deliberate placing himself in a way that people can see him. A lot of people have taken him as someone that they can call on for their own purposes, really, and he stopped being free to explore his own training and his own identity in a way that he needed to have fun and make mistakes. I'm really paraphrasing a lot of what he said. He's written an excellent, very long, well thought out he's written something on his blog, and I think it would be really worth it to read what he said, to understand what he's been through. It was really painful for me to read as his friend, to know that he had those experiences and emotions. Also, a lot of the things that he experienced could have happened to me and didn't, but it really brought it home for me what he'd been through. I fully support Kajetan in his choices. I think it's excellent that he understands the need for making a space for himself to grow and become the man that he is happy as. He needs to explore that. He needs to have the space to do that and not have the strain of trying to uphold the role that he was previously in his previous form, in his previous identity. One of the things that he said that I really resonated with was about how the personality of Kaja, who he sort of became before to be in his position and run his school and just be empowering to everybody, that person was so larger than life and so shiny and big, and left a legacy that he just can't be her. And my goodness, do I relate to that. It is different for me because whilst I am very happy and comfortable as male, there is also a very large female aspect of me, and I don't outwardly present that all the time, but it is still very present in me. Like, it's complicated for me. I didn't completely transition to male. I've always been a big mix of both, as is everybody. For me, I'm more strongly male, so most of the time I'm mostly happy to represent myself in a male capacity, but that doesn't mean that I don't shift. So I still experience being the woman that I was. And it's very odd for me now because I've completely transitioned to male, and I experience dysphoria the other direction now. But it's not often. It's not often enough for me to not have done this as a choice to mostly be male. For Kaja, it's different. He is completely male. He wants to be male all the time, and anything that he created in the role of Kaja. Sorry, I called him Kaja. Oh my gosh. Transitions are hard. As Kaja, he was very empowering of feminine, but as Kajetan, that makes him feel very unhappy. It just doesn't feel like him. Whereas for me, when I shift, which could happen at any moment, I experienced dysphoria going the other direction. That's just where I'm at. I'm a shifty, changey person who is mostly male. So please don't get confused. But I also can't still be Sámhlaoch Swords, because who that person became to everybody is a character that was larger than life. And whilst I am that person, the work and the legacy of that is more than I can continue in my different form as Sámhlaoch Swords. So I completely relate to Kajetan's choice to step back from everything and just very decisively cut that thread and just create a new beginning for himself. I don't think I'm going to do that for me. I think I want to try and bring the value of what I built as Samantha and somehow find the threads that continue. I am not very good at decisive endings when I still feel connected to something. And I also don't think that I inhabited the space of a sword person in the same way that Kajetan did. I think that for me it's always been a bit fluid, and the kind of role that I had was more an adventurer and a person who's very good at a bunch of things. But I wasn't running a school, I wasn't writing books, I wasn't a pillar of a community that could see me every day and engage with me every day. So it is different. I sort of have a little bit more flexibility to evolve, even though I'm in a public space and in the public eye. I'm sure there's more I could say about this. I do feel like might have gone on a little bit. But it's very real for me what Kajetan's gone through. And I want to voice my support for him and also my understanding. And just huge sorrow that he has had such a burden for so long, feeling torn between the role that he created so that people could be empowered, and also the struggle because the cost of that was his own personal happiness and not being able to express himself as the man that he is. I don't know if he's going to still be selling his books. If you have not bought a copy of Fear is the Mind Killer, I would encourage you to do so before they go out of print. It is an excellent book. I think every martial arts school should have a copy of it. It talks about the importance of messing up in martial arts, having spaces that you can have fun and failure at the same time, and how we learn, how our learning is cemented through not perfect training, but a lot of exploration. Also the experience that women and non-binary people go through in training spaces, and how to make your school more attractive to minorities and safer for minorities, so that they feel we feel welcome there and safe. So if you're interested in Kaja's work, I would encourage you to seek him out before he does close off those avenues. Yeah, that's what I want to say for now about that.